Hello YouTube. Sorry it's been quite a while since I uploaded a few videos as well as the rest of us baddies. A couple of us just got off spring break, whereas the other half of us, Steven and myself, just got on spring break. So what I'm here today to show you, and I'm going to jump right into this, is a tutorial for dogfighting. This is one I promised you guys that I've put up for a little while, and I'm finally getting around to it. I know, I'm a terrible person. You can say it in the comments. I sincerely apologize. But without further ado, let's go ahead and get started. As you can see, I'm playing my Tier 3 Interceptor. For the Federation, they use the fastest one, so for the purpose of this quick, tutorial of how to use the Interceptor in a dogfight and maneuverability, I'm showing you one of the fastest ones available in the game. So right off the bat, what you're going to want to do is you always want to make sure you've got shift on. As an interceptor, shift is your best friend. Alright? Shift is your best friend. It is the afterburners. And as you can see, I'm going at a steady 450 with my afterburners here. So this is good. Uh-oh. And so this is what you want to be doing as an interceptor. You want to make sure that you are constantly going at a speed that is unfathomable to much of those enemy forces, unless they're a fellow interceptor. Then they know how to deal with you. And that's where this next part comes in. As you can see, I've been doing a little rolling, and Q and E, these two keys, which should be right next to your W, so it's not relatively hard for you to be able to do that. These two keys are going to be your second best friends. So you press Q so you can roll in that direction. You press E so you can roll in that direction. And you can roll as much as you want. There's not a limit to that. So essentially what's going to happen is if you got someone tailing you and they've got a good lead on you, especially as an interceptor, they're good. Most interceptors are good anti-interceptors. So what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to make a combination. All right, you don't just want to roll away. You don't just do Q and E. Your small size might help take away from some of the damage that might be incoming, but ultimately, if they're a fast one like you are, or if they've got lasers, they'll lock onto you pretty quick. So what you're going to want to do instead is you're going to want to make a combination. Use your mouse as your directional button, or as not your button, but your directional, method, and you're going to want to combine that with your Q and E rolls to go into, a barrel roll essentially. So what you're gonna want to do, my favorite tactic personally, is to hold Q, which is your left roll, and move the cursor out to the right. So you're rolling like this. Now, this may seem pretty dizzying, but once you get used to it, it's not that bad. And what this essentially does is it puts you in a position to where your size is coupled up with your maneuverability and your agility. So much so that the enemy cannot possibly, well, I mean they can actually, they still can hit you, but it's going to be very difficult, especially if they use projectiles. And you can do the opposite with the E roll. Hold down E, move your cursor up to the left, you'll do a good upper barrel roll, and you've got the opposite for the bottom of the y-axis, of course. You've got, Q, bottom right, mix that together for a lower barrel roll. You've got E, bottom left, mix that together for a lower barrel roll. And those are going to be your basic maneuvers as an interceptor. One of the common tactics that I see, one of the common tactics that I've become accustomed to myself, is skirting the edge of an asteroid. Now, the benefits of doing this is that people are focused on you, so what's going to happen is these little edges, you see these little hills, these protruding spots on the asteroid here, these will end up acting as perfectly good cover, or craters and stuff like that. It's brilliant because you can quickly skirt around them. It keeps you at a constant pace where you're behind something big, a good object that provides you overall cover. And if you've got a fast mover on you, well, it's going to be a hard time for them to take a lead, because what happens is that lead reticle, in order to help guide the projectiles, in order to get to your ship, well, that's almost negated because you're moving so fast, especially if you're using your best friend, shift, and you are constantly in cover going through this asteroid. I know I've been doing that for a little bit. I'll go ahead and stop. But see, this asteroids like that are really good. You only, as a small thing, you want to go for the biggest cover. I know that seems a little ironic, but it is to your best advantage. And as I've shown before, you've got Alt. I'll go ahead and stop it. Alt is your pitch for going below, space is your pitch for going up, and you can apply shift to these as well to give the afterburner some more power whenever you're going along the y-axis. So any direction that you are going, you can apply shift to, and it'll speed up the process. It is absolutely wonderful. So what you're going to want to do is you're eventually going to want to combine all of this stuff, mix it up, give it a nice bag of tricks for anyone following you. Oops, not like that. And you're going to want to create a method of dodging, and it's perfect. It works very well. This is what I see in the PvP games all the time, and this will ultimately save your life as interceptors. Jericho, Federation, Empire, no matter what, they usually have low hull and low shields. So don't expect your survivability or rate of survivability to be at a decent level if you plan on going out. You see this open space that I'm traveling in right here? This is what I would call a death trap for interceptors. Do not go here, ever. Only if your life depends on it, or only if you're trying to recuperate from using a friendly frigate. Other than that, do not use it. It is disadvantageous. There we go. And I think that's about it. If you want to get into more advanced tactics, you've got certain things, like I said, shift, which can also act as a brake. And you can see, watch my speed there. That was good. And you might ask, how is this useful? Well, the way that it's useful is that when you're moving forward and you've got someone tailing you and they've got a good lock on your ship, all you need to do is S and shift. Boom. Turn around and you can engage. You put your enemy on the defensive. You put your tail, put them into a corner where they've got to fight back now instead of just, picking wings off of flies, the fly being you in this case, just trying to get out of there. And that is one of the more common tactics I've seen, especially if you're a fast mover. Those guns maneuver pretty quickly, so all you have to do is just have to move around and make sure you're leading your target as much as they're leading you. And of course, as an interceptor, always roll with some sort of electronic method of screwing over your opponent, as well as some shield regen, hull regen, or hull armor increase, and those are just your basic tactics as an interceptor. Coming up next, I will show you how to roll with a fighter, which is, as you'll see, essentially the same thing.